The good book says that God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a soundness of mind. Do you understand what it means in having your mind to be sound? Let me quickly point some things out here. When your mind is not focused, is not settled as it should be, it is subjected to the will of God. What starts to happen is that there's a lot of cloudiness, a lot of loudness that goes on in the mental capacity. And hence, man or woman, male or female, you're unable to focus on a specific task in you becoming better for yourself and for your family, even at work. And so you find yourself in disarray. You're discombobulated. You are fragmented. And for many persons would have asked the question, how can I be more confident in public? It's a very broad but very simple and direct question. I want to simply share with you 3 quick points, 3 quick solutions that can aid you so that you are becoming more and more confident as the day goes by. And one of the things that you want to do is, the first one is to shift the spotlight. What do I mean by shifting the spotlight? When you take the focus from you, take the information from you, and you share about experiences, you share about a particular person or a story or event, it causes you and those that are looking and listening to you to be more focused on what you're saying. And by support, you start to realize that you're feeling not as pressured, not as anxious, not as nervous as you probably were when you walk into that room and you saw all those eyeballs that are eyeing you and those different frowns, and you're making all sorts of assumption in your mind, when sometimes all they might be thinking of some persons is what I'm going to eat for lunch or breakfast or whatever the time of the day is. But because we're so focused on us and trying to deliver and trying to compare, because we do this too, we do this unintentionally. We compare ourselves in our minds as to persons that we see as high standard public speakers and preachers and teachers, and so we say, I wish I can be like that. I want to. And we have a high standard where we set ourselves. And nothing is wrong with you aiming for high, or aiming to do the best, because I learned something in going to school back in the day, in college. All solum petenda sunt, solum optima petenda sunt, right? Which means only your best is good enough. So when you shift the focus from you onto something else, and you are then telling a story, then it starts to make the audience that is receiving you in a much more comfortable state, and you, the individual that is sharing, you start to feel more relaxed, and so you start to know flow. And once you start to flow, you realize that you are now resting in a place of peace, rest in a place of not just depending on your own strength and might, but then the true information and the natural flow of information is coming out. Another thing that you want to do is now put your trust in God. Remember, I started out by saying God has not given you the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a soundness of mind. When you become more solidified, become more secure within God Himself, God loves it, God loves it when we're depending on him, God loves it when we call upon him first. God loves it when we acknowledge him first. Because when we do this, we are showing that we are not selfish. We are now selfless, and our dependence become on him. And in return, he gives us the right things to say. He gives us the right action to take. He sends help in some unique ways, and by the time you are finished or even in the process, you are surprised. Is this really me? I have proven it so many times. I've had situations where I'm fully prepared and set, and this is what I want to bring, this is my point, this is how I want to say this, when I want to say this, the climactic, and all of this. And might I tell you, all of that get tossed out the window, thrown out, simply because I would have said, I'm going to trust what God is saying, what the Spirit of God is saying and leading me to do, and everything just flowed naturally and without any form of hindrance. And I'm saying to you that when you shift your focus and you start to now speak on points and matters other than yourself, one trusting in God, everything becomes much easier and flows much better. Another thing that you want to do, which is point 2, you want to own your space. When you are in a different setting, whatever the setting is, one of the things that you want to learn is not to just be stationary, not to just be all caught up. You want to own your space. You want to know that you are the individual that is in charge here in the moment to share something that persons are waiting who have traveled far and near to hear from you. And that is why I'm saying to you that if you jump it, or if you're not resting, what happens? You get flustered. And those that have sat, come prepared, notepad and all, wanting to hear what it is that you have to offer, you're not able to do justice as you would have wanted because you are unsettled. Don't be unsettled. Own your space. It is as simple as even just lifting up a glass of water that is in your presence and drinking it. It is as simple as you just starting out by just laughing. Oh, don't worry about person saying, oh, he's nuts, so she's lost it. No, you don't worry yourself about the even if it is said. You're trying to get yourself in a position where you're resting and you're in control, right? Now, you want to be moving about, not too much, but you want to be able to allow the flow, that as you begin to speak, as you begin to sing, things become much easier. If you're a singer, one of the things that you can do too is maybe even start out with a chorus. Many persons, many public speakers, you would have find them starting out with a joke. They would share a joke, and this is what you call an icebreaker. That means to break the tension in the room, to lighten it, and it's not just for the audience, but it's for the speaker as well. So going into the material can become much easier to digest, right? Now, another thing that you want to do is consider, which is 3. You want to practice what is called a micro boldness. So in small settings, as much as possible, you want to be able to speak in small groups. There's a small group setting, a group of 2, a group of 4, whatever the small group setting is. Share your thoughts, man. Right? Don't be caught up in, I wonder what they're going to say. I wonder if I'm saying the right thing. Don't worry about that. Share, and by you sharing and being yourself, you'll be surprised to know that you have even shared something that is powerful, something that someone was waiting to hear, and because you would have opened your mouth to share it, it was received and it impacted person's life in a magnificent way. I have had experience in this in so many different ways. I have been called multiple times even just to share on platforms because I did not keep the information or the burning urge to share within my spirit, and by releasing what is there, I am therefore releasing others and also releasing my own self. Another thing that you want to do is celebrating the wins, man. Celebrate the victory. Some of the things that we tend to do is set the bar so high, set the goals so high, and when we don't achieve or attain at that level, we beat on ourselves. No, celebrate the small wins. Pat yourself on the shoulder. You understand? And this can be in forms like treating yourself with a small treat, with a dessert. If you're a person, for example, there's so many ways you can do this. You don't watch television. You watch about a 20 minutes worth of television or half an hour. Or you go for a means to walk on the road or go to the park. There are many different ways that you can do this, but treat yourself because you are also motivating yourself. And by motivating yourself, you start to believe that there's this belief system that starts to build within you to say, I was nervous with this, I was anxious for this, I was able to allow myself to be relaxed. I shared, I was myself, and it was received. And you start to believe, if I continue to do this, then the sky is the limit. There's nothing that can stop you because now you're on a roll. You know that you can pass this as well. I've done many public speakings, preachings, teachings, and all of these settings. And I can tell you, there were days and there were times when, man, the nervousness set in and I'm saying, oh my God, man, if I could just disappear. I know because you are now in the moment, in the time, in the space, and persons are waiting to, as sponge, to soak up the information, and you have all this information and it can feel overwhelming. But if you continue to say, you know what, as much as I'm prepared, I'm going to trust in God. I'm going to believe in the fact that He has taken me out of that, and you want to reflect on maybe a situation that you were able to come out of. God is able to take you through this as well. When you start to develop the art of gaining confidence as to how you can become more confident in public speaking, I promise you, everything changes. There is no limit to the audience and the time that you will be able to be free in speaking. You are already victorious. You are already confident enough. There is a greater on top that is within you, and it takes you, with the help of God, to bring it out. If you consider that there is a better and a greater version of yourself, you got to own it, you got to claim it, and you got to represent it.